Hello, Knockouts. Tonya TKO here. And today we're going to be talking about Chad Loves Michelle, Season 1, Episode 4. And this is the episode where Chad had his solo therapy session with Dr. Tama, as well as the one where they were looking for a personal assistant for the both of them. And when he visited the churches and the first ladies came to give her some tips about being a first lady of a church. Oh my goodness. So listen, I did not like this episode, but I'm going to give my review on it and tell you why I didn't like it. First, I'm Tonya TKO, self-love specialist and relationship expert from TonyaTKO.com. I hope you learn to love yourself and each other. So part of the reason that I didn't like this particular episode is because in this episode, because one, I know what's going to happen down the line because we know as of this date that Chad and Michelle have broken up. So right now I'm catching up with the episodes to give my reviews on them because some of you are ahead of me and some of you are not. So we're doing this together. So that's cool. But in this episode, I didn't particularly care for it because you can see and feel the mask slipping away. So you know that the relationship is on its way to tatters. And so there's a part of me that's like kind of looking and like kind of nitpicking a little bit like, yeah, I see this now. That's why because like before I was really all about their relationship. I feel invested in their relationship. But now I'm kind of like really combing through Chad's actions. Because Chad presents himself as this person that has it together, etc. But in this particular episode is where the mask starts to slip away. So in this episode, well, first of all, let's start step by step. So in this episode, it opens with the gay best friend. And in this episode, he actually seemed okay. He seemed supportive. And then one of the things that just really kind of just started floating out above all of this stuff is that Chad was talking about how he's been of service to other people and how taking care of Michelle is starting to bring up anxiety for him, etc. And I'm like, so basically, you put yourself in these situations where you're caretaking other people and then feeling the anxiety of caretaking for people. And even at one point during the episode, Michelle was like, listen, you're not emotionally responsible for me. Because I guess, one of the ongoing themes that I'm seeing with Chad is lack of boundaries, that there isn't a clear defined boundary between him and the people that he loves, so that he's overextending himself in ways that may not be appropriate, so that when he pulls back, like we were talking about in the last video with enmeshment, so that when he pulls back, that there's this feeling of separation anxiety or even a divorce because there weren't clear lines set inside the relationship. But nonetheless, let's go forward. One thing that kind of stuck out to me, because some of you were saying that Chad is broke and he was using Michelle for the come up. I don't know how much money Michelle has. I didn't get the sense that Chad was broke. And then also some of you are also getting these interpretations from other people's videos. Some of you may not have seen the full series, and I heard that Wendy Williams was talking about it and presenting it like Chad was using her for the come up. But when they show pictures of the scale of his own operation, of the camps that he does, the Elevate camps, there are thousands of children there. So I didn't get the sense that he was broke. And so we have to really kind of learn to think for ourselves, to form our own opinions. And so I'm hoping that we can hash out some of these things. That's why I'm asking for your opinion in the comments. So I want to know how you feel about that. So one of the things that I picked up on is that his Elevate program is in Phoenix, Arizona. So now all of this starts to make sense because his sister and her children live in Phoenix, Arizona. So what it is that I gather is that he built up this life in Phoenix, Arizona, which he uprooted and moved to Los Angeles to be with Michelle, to look after her, to be with her, or whatever the case may be. So, and he also says in this episode, he says that they've been together for 1.5 years. So some of you are like, they don't know each other, blah, blah, blah. So they were together before she went. She was only in the hospital for a month. And so they have a history that stretches far beyond that. So one of the things that just really self-sabotage. when he was talking to the pastor of the church that he went to go visit, and the guy was like, "Oh, I'm starting this church," and asked him to be a part of the creation of it. And even though Chad had expressed that maybe he wants his own church, when he was presented with the opportunity, he was like, "Oh, I don't think I want that type of load on me, etc." So then he starts sabotaging this, and he's like, he doesn't want to feel responsible for an entire congregation. And then when he was talking with Michelle about it later on, after he was like Mr. Moody McRudy, I was like, what is going on with this man? But we're gonna get to that part. But I was like, just he kind of shot himself in the foot where he's talking about these things that he wants. But then when he was talking to Michelle, he was like, well, he becomes emotionally invested, and that he's going to become invested in all of these people's lives. And you know what? Far too many of us use words like empath, etc., to not be able to be in control of our energy, of our vibration, of what it is that we allow to come in. For those of you who know me, I read energy, right? And you have say so. You can cut your energy off. You can define boundaries for your ability, for your energy, for how much you allow people to come in energetically, how far you extend yourself energetically. So we have to stop using, our spiritual selves as excuses for having lack of boundaries, because you control your ability. So nonetheless, that's something that just kind of stuck out to me. So let's go forward. Let's go forward. When they were in the restaurant, like I told you, I don't know if I'm being nitpicky or if I'm just like things are just starting to reveal themselves. This is why I'm saying we have to listen and we have to pay attention, because in every joke, there's a little bit of truth. When they were in the restaurant and Michelle was like, she was going to go get something to eat. And he was like, that's right, eat, eat, order one of everything on the menu. And I'm just like, we know that she has issues with her weight. We know that she's struggling with having lost a tremendous amount of weight. And food is a very intimate, very touchy subject. I would be cautious about making comments about how much a person is or isn't eating. We have to allow adults to be adults and govern themselves. Do you know what I mean? Because like for those of us out there who are a little overweight, we don't want people talking about another plate. So then on the flip side, we don't need nobody talking about get another plate. You know what I mean? So let me try to move through these quickly. So one of the things that I'm picking up on, remember how I said we have to listen? When they were in the meeting with Martwan, when he came for the meeting, remember how he was making these deprecating jokes? So he made these jokes about Michelle, how she's unorganized and all this other stuff, right? But then on the flip side, he was like, I'm surprised Martwan hasn't been like, these people are crazy, and just chucked the deuces and left. Right? And he's like, I've been with Michelle for a year and a half, but he's just meeting her. So he this, that, and the other. And I'm like, this is when the truth begins to surface out, when you really start to let people emote. Speaking of which, one thing that I really didn't like about this episode was Dr. Tama's line of questioning, and how she asked him whether or not she was like, giving all of the pieces that you connected today, do you want to continue? That's so inappropriate. When a person is entrusted in your care, they're in a suggestible state. For those of you who know, I just became certified in clinical hypnotherapy. And so like when a person is entrusted in your care and you're the authority figure, they are suggestible to you. So why even plant that seed? Do you want to continue? Why not ask him and let him flesh out what it is that he wants? So I really didn't like that. I love Michelle in her photo shoot. I love seeing her shine and glow. She just looks so pretty. And I was just, that whole first lady scene, it just made me want to gag. All of the talk about constriction and being, judged, and having to not being able to listen to R&B music, and not even when you're making love, and but you can't make love to gospel music. This whole episode was just kind of I just really wasn't feeling this episode. I'm going to jump into the next episode. I have 2 more to catch up, and then we'll be on the same page, and then I'm going to start doing the Ready to Love episodes because I kind of missed that show too. But in this one, I didn't like this show. I didn't like this episode. What are your thoughts about this particular episode? What are your thoughts about his crip walk, about the confusion that he has? Because he's like, and you know what? I'm going to say this. I know I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but Chad, he's shaped like a black man. Okay. I'm not going to talk about him being black anymore, but he's shaped like you know how people like, oh, she's shaped like a black woman. He's like, if you couldn't hear his voice, and if he was like a brother, if he sounded like a brother, and that's one of the things that just kind of also the cultural differences. And also, me personally, I feel like this relationship is not the final relationship for them. I feel like Michelle needs somebody a little bit different. Maybe he can be that person after he goes off on his own and does his own work. Like how he was like, he's tired of talking about deep stuff, tired of doing the work. And I'm like, son, listen, doing the work is a tremendous process. Diving in and really doing that work is tremendous. So I'm kind of separating myself from this relationship now because I'm kind of like, I see how things are beginning to unravel because he doesn't know where he's supposed to be in his career. He doesn't know what it is that he wants. He's still self-sabotaging his career. He said, like, like a woman can help motivate a man, like how she was helping to motivate him. But that man has to know where it is that he wants to go. And the fact that he's like kind of tossing the choices that he's making from his own personal responsibility, the fact that he's kind of tossing that onto other people, like not like they're doing something to him, but like he's suffering as a result of these choices that he consented to make for himself. So I'm just like, I don't know. I didn't like this episode, but I have a feeling that things are going to get a whole lot worse because there's a reason why they broke up. And from my personal and professional assessment right now, the way things are, they both need to do they both, especially Chad, the level of denial that he's in is profound. Like at least Michelle, like let's say for example, if Chad were the person who was suffering with those thoughts, do you think that he would have checked himself into a hospital? I personally don't think that he would have. The level of denial that he's under, I don't think that he's really ready to do the work or really dive into doing like all that it takes, because it takes going into some dark places and really realizing that you're not perfect, that you're not, it's like, while we're over here, remember we talked about this in the last video, while we're over here focusing on other people's issues, who's looking at ours? You know what I mean? So it's like, it's really going to take him realizing that he's not perfect, peeling back his own mask and diving deep within to really fine-tune those things that are going on in it. That is my personal and professional opinion. This is my review. I want to hear your comments below. What are your thoughts? What did this episode do for you? What were some of the arbitals that you picked up on? And for those of you who know me, you know arbitals are reading between the lines. So what are RBTL, reading between the lines? So what are some of the arbitals that you picked up on? And where do you think that this is heading? I want to hear your assessment on this. So listen, Tonya TKO, and I'm out. I will see you in the next video. Peace. Go out there and love one another. But most importantly, what? Love yourself. Tonya TKO, and I'm out. Peace.